Hey guys, welcome back to week 61 of building my custom Venator. As you guys know, the UCS Venator did get revealed, leaked at an airport recently. So if you want to check out my thoughts on that, I'll link a video in the info card right here. And I highly recommend you do because there are some serious things that need to be discussed about this thing. This week on the Venator update, we're going to be working on building this custom wedge stripe. Yeah, the thing I showed earlier was just this. It's not even like a complete thing. It's just something I worked up a long time ago before I had all the parts to do so. We also got an order in from Lego Pick a Brick, which I've been waiting for a long time for. So I'm very happy to get into that. But without further ado, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button, and let's get into this Venator update. So starting out this week, we got some very specialized parts that we needed. We got some 1x16 dark bluish gray bricks, which was very important. We got some of these pieces that we needed for the back tail of the Venator, and we got a bunch of parts that we really needed. So before we officially begin this week's update, I have to do something. I have to install this brick right here. I've been dying for months for these bricks to come in from Lego, and now that they have arrived, I'm going to install it. Alright, gotta say, right now life feels pretty good. I'm so glad I got this thing attached. It looks so good. I do have to do like some work obviously with that still, but I'm just super happy that it's now attached. Now it's time for us to take a break from the bricks for a week and work on this Venator's hangar. Now for the wedge stripe, I do have a few ideas for how I'm going to do this because it is going to be very complicated to do this, especially if we're going to have the doors open and close. See, my problem is that this is on such a big slope, which is very difficult to open. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be able to make both of them open and close. It might just be a panel that comes on and off. However, I would really like to have both of them open and close eventually through some sorts of automatics, but I do have to work on that. So let's start doing that right now. One of the hardest things of this process is figuring out this red line and the slope for that red line because we want to make sure it lines up with the panels. So for some reason the time lapse ended and we did make some great progress on this. However, this looks completely wrong. It looks way too thick in this center and not thick enough at the top. So maybe I do need to do some more drastic moves to make this accurate. I do have to say, I really like that there's a wedge stripe on there now. However, we have to redo it because this is just not accurate enough for me and I don't really like the look of this. So we just tried out a new solution where we basically had this increased by one stud on each one, and honestly it looks kind of rough. I don't really like the look of that, so I'm going to be trying a different kind of slope. I mean, it does look a lot better in the sense of like the angle this is supposed to have, but I don't really like how that looks on something like that. But maybe it's necessary for something this big. I've seen a lot of people just do it with one stud and be fine, but mine is a lot bigger than most Venators out there, so maybe it's required that I do too, but it just doesn't feel right coming from the front end of the Venator. It feels good from the side, but not from the front. So I'm going to be trying a few different solutions on how to really figure this out. So what I'm going to try now is to use an 8 brick and then raise it by 1 instead of 2 on the other side and see how that looks, and then I'll compare and contrast. Alright, so what we basically did was change this concept right here of doing 12 studs and then up 2, and basically just did a 1x8 system, which I think is the best version of this possible because I just think it looks much better. Take a look from the aerial view of which one looks better, this or this. Although it does seem a bit thick towards the top in some senses, I feel like it is the proper angle to go about doing this. But we do have a few problems such as this right here. For some reason, this gap is not like working for this. I do have to work on figuring that out. But right now, I think what's more important to figure out is what type of style I'm doing this in. I am leaning towards this style, but I'm not 100% sure. So right now, I think I'm going to mod this style because I really don't like it as much as this style, and I'm going to be working on making it look like that. Alright, we have now given both sides the same slope, and I think this looks really good in my opinion, except for the big raging gaps, which we do have to figure out a solution to in this update this week. But honestly, I think this is a good start to this update. getting this big red stripe in. Like, it's such a satisfying feeling to have, and it adds so much to the Venator's, you know, overall color and size and build, and I'm super happy about this. I really want to put on the bottom panels just to see how everything looks, but I think the main thing I need to focus on right now is how I'm going to make this front section top off, because we have to figure out all the slopes and everything like that, because there's a lot of details that go into that, along with the fact of figuring out how to fix this issue going on right here. And then after all of that is done, I think we gotta add some major details to this thing right here and actually figure out how we're going to support this thing. Because right now, look at this. This thing is just being held on literally by nothing, which is not the best, and I don't really love that. So that is what I'm going to be working on right now, is really figuring out how to do this front section. The fun thing about snot technique is it's a new form of math in the way of the Lego brick. It is such a complicated thing and it's so confusing. I was planning on doing a live stream actually yesterday night, but it was just way too confusing. So what I did was really work hard to make sure I got this just right, and I think it came out alright in the end. Alright, I spent about a few hours working on this thing right here. This was a super hard technique to figure out because it shifted all this stuff and it was super frustrating to figure out. But I think we got somewhat of a good front connection, I feel like. I feel like this curve works very well with everything, and I think this is going to turn out really nice as soon as I add these pieces, which I will need to have more of because I think I'm out of those. So I think this came out rather nice. I do have to replicate on this side, but at least I figured this thing out. So now that we got the red panels back on, I figured out the problem that seemed to be going on with this. I think I just need to move this down a few studs because it won't cover it completely. So what I'm going to do is, unfortunately, to make it look good, I think I'm going to have to extend all of these by 3. So that means moving every single one of these bricks, which will take a really long time to do, but I think that's what I have to do for both of these to make them look accurate and, you know, make sure there's no massive gap in between it, which is a bit unfortunate, but I'm going to start working on that right now because I think that's the way to solve this problem. So I tried making this process easy as possible with making these panels. However, I made a mistake on the second panel, which I didn't really show in the time lapse, but it cost me a lot of time and I couldn't really figure out what it was. And then I figured out that I was off by 1 stud, so everything had to be reshifted twice, and this took approximately about 3 hours to get done, which was super frustrating. Alright, since the last update, we've made some pretty good progress, I would say, with this project. However, we really changed the whole form of this thing. You see, the slopes on these panels I feel like are way higher now. I don't know if you guys can really pick it up on camera, but I feel like they are because we had to raise basically this piece right here. So now the slope is higher because it's just set differently, which isn't a great look for this. I don't like that at all. So I might have to go on the inside and lower some of the pieces that hold it in place, which is a little bit unfortunate. On top of that, this did not solve our issue. We still have this gap. It is a lot less than it was before, like it's barely noticeable now, but it's still there, which is a big problem. And on top of that, we also have a problem up here because this red thing is too long, because we have to incorporate this thing that I'm showing on screen right here on the Venator. So that is something we also have to worry about this week. But I think a solution to this problem is maybe chopping off the smaller half right here a little bit by 8 studs, which is basically one of these segments, which is a good thing because then it'll be wider towards the bottom base of this, which means it'll hopefully cover up this little hole. But I'm going to do that right now and see how that works. Alright, we've done some great work here. We have made this thing look way better and also works at the same time because we're working on making some nice details. We're starting to, really flesh out this hangar door, and I am super happy with how this is coming out. So in short, what I think I'm going to do is have some sort of sliding mechanism that allows these two to interact with each other, and that's how these are going to slide open. I would love that to work. However, I don't know if it's going to because of just the little amount of space that I have to make this thing work, because it's going to go like that and it's just going to like slide over that, which isn't going to be the best because that's not really accurate. But there is no other way to do this because there's literally no space. So that's a little bit unfortunate. However, I am loving these hangar doors. I'm super happy with how they're coming out. and I cannot wait to continue working on them next week on the Venator update. But next week on the Venator update, I am really looking forward to doing a few things, such as installing the last of these red stripes to make it look like that side. Then I'm going to complete this side of the bridge and this whole tower right here. And then we're going to be working on the top section. So I'm very happy with the progress we're making on this Venator this week. And I cannot wait to continue making some amazing progress on the Venator update for you guys. Next week is going to be an amazing update. Trust me, I got some crazy stuff planned. And I cannot wait to continue working on this Venator, especially since we're so close to getting it done. But for this week on the Venator update, I say peace out. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button down below. And I'll see you all in the next one.